The trailer arrived just before sunrise, and the ranch hands gathered near the gate expecting another ordinary horse delivery. The paperwork carried a mistake that nobody noticed at first. A massive black stallion stood inside the trailer, his dark coat shining even through the dust of the long journey. The animal stamped his hooves and slammed against the metal walls with such force that everyone stepped back. The cowboy named Ethan looked at the documents again. The horse was supposed to have gone to a wealthy breeder 3 counties away, yet somehow it had arrived at his struggling ranch instead. The driver shrugged and said he had followed the address on the shipment order. There was nothing he could do until the company opened later that morning. Ethan walked closer to the trailer. The stallion's eyes followed him carefully. Unlike the angry animals he had worked with before, this one seemed alert and intelligent, almost too intelligent. The horse did not lash out when Ethan approached. Instead, it stood perfectly still and watched him. One ranch hand suggested sending it back immediately. Another warned that the animal looked dangerous enough to injure someone. Ethan agreed they should wait for instructions, but something about the stallion kept pulling at his attention. Hours passed and no one from the shipping company answered their calls. A storm rolled over the hills, trapping everyone on the ranch. The roads became muddy rivers, and the trailer could not leave until conditions improved. With no choice, Ethan prepared a temporary corral for the unexpected guest. The stallion resisted every attempt to move until Ethan stepped forward alone. He spoke softly and extended his hand. The horse lowered its head slightly, then to everyone's shock it followed Ethan without a fight. The ranch hands exchanged nervous glances. They had never seen such a powerful animal obey a stranger so quickly. That evening, Ethan sat near the fence watching the stallion graze under the fading light. Something caught his eye. A strange leather strap was woven into the horse's mane, hidden beneath the thick hair. He carefully removed it and found a small metal capsule attached to the end. Curious, he opened the capsule. Inside was a folded piece of paper. The message contained only a few words. "Not safe, trust no one." Ethan stared at the note as a cold chill ran through his body. The horse had not arrived by accident after all. And whoever sent it clearly wanted him to find that mesa. Ethan barely slept that night. Every sound outside his window made him reach for his flashlight. The mysterious note replayed in his mind over and over. Why would someone hide a warning inside a horse shipment, and why send it to him? The next morning, he inspected the stallion more closely. The horse seemed unusually calm around him but remained hostile toward everyone else. Whenever another ranch hand approached the fence, the stallion pinned its ears back and moved away. Yet when Ethan entered the corral, the animal walked directly toward him. While brushing the horse, Ethan discovered something even stranger. A small symbol had been branded beneath the animal's thick coat near its shoulder. The mark looked old but carefully hidden. He took a photograph and sent it to an old friend who worked in livestock records. Several hours later, his phone rang. His friend sounded alarmed. That brand belonged to a ranch that no longer existed. A ranch connected to a missing millionaire named Victor Hale. 10 years earlier, Hale had vanished without a trace after claiming he had uncovered a massive land fraud operation involving powerful people across the region. Rumors spread, but no evidence was ever found. The case slowly disappeared from public attention. Ethan looked at the stallion standing quietly nearby. The horse was old enough to have belonged to Hale. Before he could think further, a black SUV appeared at the ranch entrance. 2 well-dressed men stepped out and demanded the horse immediately. They claimed the delivery mistake had been corrected and they were there to retrieve the animal. Something felt wrong. Neither man could provide proper ownership papers. When Ethan refused to hand over the stallion, they grew visibly nervous. One of them offered a large amount of cash, far more than any horse was worth. The offer confirmed Ethan's suspicions. The horse was important, very important. After the men left, Ethan searched every inch of the stallion's equipment. Late that evening, he found a hidden compartment inside the saddle that had arrived with the horse. Inside were old documents, photographs, and a flash drive. The photographs showed Victor Hale standing beside the same stallion years ago. The documents contained maps, property records, and handwritten notes. Whatever secret Hale had uncovered had never disappeared. Someone had hidden the evidence with the one companion they trusted most, the stallion. And now dangerous people were trying to get it back. Scene 3. Ethan spent the next few days studying the documents. Hidden within the records was proof of a decades-long scheme involving stolen land titles worth millions. The evidence connected several influential individuals who had built fortunes through fraud. The flash drive contained even more records, along with a video recorded by Victor Hale shortly before his disappearance. In the video, Hale explained that if anything happened to him, the evidence would remain hidden until the right person found it. He trusted only one living creature with the secret: his stallion. The horse had been moved from ranch to ranch for years, protected by loyal friends who kept the truth alive. Now the final shipment had brought the stallion to Ethan. Not by mistake, but by design. Hale's last remaining allies had chosen him after hearing stories of his honesty and integrity. With help from investigators, Ethan turned over the evidence. Authorities reopened the case and exposed the entire operation. Several powerful figures were arrested and long-stolen properties were returned to their rightful owners. As for the stallion, he remained at Ethan's ranch. Months later, visitors often asked about the magnificent black horse standing proudly beside the fence. Ethan would smile and tell them the animal had changed his life, because what arrived looking like a shipping error turned out to be a messenger carrying the truth. And without a single word, the wild stallion had completed the mission his owner entrusted to him many years before. The trailer rolled through the ranch gate just before sunrise. While a thin layer of mist still covered the open fields, the workers expected a routine delivery because shipments arrived every few weeks and rarely caused excitement. Yet the moment the truck stopped, everyone sensed something was different. A deep thud echoed from inside the trailer. Then another. The metal walls shook hard enough to rattle nearby equipment. One worker stepped back and muttered that no ordinary horse could hit steel with such force. The driver climbed out looking exhausted. His shirt was covered with dust and his face carried the expression of a man who had spent the entire journey dealing with trouble. He handed a stack of documents to Ethan, the ranch owner, and quickly explained that the animal had been restless for hundreds of miles. Ethan scanned the paperwork while another violent crash came from inside the trailer. The shipment record showed the horse was meant for a breeder several counties away. The address listed on the page did not belong to Ethan's ranch. At first he assumed the driver had made a simple mistake, but after checking every line twice, the confusion only grew. The driver insisted he had followed the information exactly as it appeared when the shipment was loaded. A loud snort erupted from inside, followed by the sound of hooves scraping against metal. Curiosity replaced caution, and Ethan slowly approached the trailer door. The ranch hands stayed behind him, unwilling to stand too close. When the door finally opened, everyone froze. A massive black stallion stood inside. Its coat seemed almost silver where the rising sunlight touched it, and its powerful muscles shifted beneath the skin with every movement. The animal looked more like something from an old legend than a horse meant for transport. Its dark eyes swept across the group carefully. Not frightened. Not confused. Watching. Evaluating. The stallion stamped one hoof and the trailer shook again. One worker immediately suggested closing the door and sending the animal away as soon as possible. Another warned that no horse with that much strength could be trusted around people. Ethan remained silent. Something felt unusual. He had spent his life around animals and knew how fear looked. This horse was not acting out of fear. It seemed angry, as though it had been forced into a situation it never chose. The morning passed with repeated attempts to contact the shipping company, but no one answered. A storm began gathering over the distant hills, and dark clouds spread across the sky. Within hours, heavy rain transformed the roads into rivers of mud, making travel impossible. The trailer would remain at the ranch until conditions improved. With no alternative, Ethan prepared a temporary corral near the barn. The workers expected a struggle when moving the stallion. Ropes were gathered and gates were opened. Yet the moment Ethan stepped forward alone, the horse became still. He spoke softly. The same calm voice he used with injured animals and frightened colts. For several seconds neither moved. Then the stallion lowered its head slightly. A surprised murmur spread through the watching workers. Ethan took another step. The horse followed. No ropes. No force. No resistance. The giant animal walked behind him as though they had known each other for years. Once inside the corral, the stallion explored quietly before settling near the fence. The workers could hardly believe what they had witnessed. The rest of the day passed beneath grey skies and steady rain. Ethan found himself returning to the corral again and again. Each visit raised more questions. The horse never acted aggressively toward him. Instead, it watched him with a strange familiarity. As evening approached, the storm finally weakened. Golden sunlight slipped through breaks in the clouds and illuminated the ranch. Ethan leaned against the fence, studying the stallion. That was when he noticed something hidden within the thick mane. A narrow leather strip woven carefully among the hair. It did not belong there. He entered the corral slowly. The horse remained calm. Carefully, Ethan reached into the mane and pulled the leather free. Attached to one end was a small metal capsule barely larger than a finger. His heartbeat quickened. Someone had hidden it deliberately. He glanced around the empty ranch yard before opening the capsule. Inside rested a tightly folded piece of paper. The message contained only 4 words. Not safe. Trust no one. For several moments, Ethan simply stared. Rainwater dripped from the fence posts while distant thunder rolled across the hills. The words felt heavy despite their simplicity. This was no accident. No random prank. Someone had gone to great lengths to conceal that warning. And somehow it had arrived in his hands. When Ethan looked back at the stallion, the animal was already watching him. Its dark eyes seemed fixed on the note, as if it knew exactly what he had just discovered. A cold feeling moved through Ethan. The shipment error suddenly seemed impossible to believe. Because whoever hid that message had intended for someone to find it. And for reasons he could not understand. That someone appeared to be him. Ethan locked the note inside his desk that night, but sleep refused to come. Every creak of the ranch house seemed louder than usual, and every gust of wind against the walls made him sit upright in bed. Before sunrise, he walked back to the corral carrying a lantern. The black stallion was already awake, standing motionless near the fence, watching the ranch as if guarding it. The moment Ethan approached, the animal stepped forward calmly. Again the strange connection appeared. The horse trusted him while remaining distant from everyone else. As daylight spread across the fields, Ethan decided to inspect the stallion more carefully. While brushing its coat, he noticed an unusual mark hidden beneath the thick hair near the shoulder. It was an old brand, partially faded but still visible. The symbol looked unfamiliar. Ethan took a photograph and sent it to his longtime friend Daniel, who worked with livestock records across several states. Hours later, his phone rang. Daniel sounded shocked. He recognized the brand immediately. It belonged to a ranch once owned by Victor Hale, a wealthy businessman who had vanished nearly 10 years earlier. The disappearance had attracted enormous attention at the time. Victor claimed he had uncovered evidence of a powerful criminal network involved in land theft and corruption. Then one day he disappeared without explanation. Neither Victor nor the evidence was ever found. The case slowly faded from public memory. Ethan ended the call and stared toward the corral. The stallion stood quietly beneath the afternoon sun. Could this really be the same horse connected to that mystery? The answer seemed impossible. Yet every new discovery pointed in that direction. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of engines approaching the ranch. A black SUV rolled through the gate and stopped near the barn. Two men stepped out wearing expensive clothes and confident smiles. They introduced themselves as representatives sent to recover the horse. According to them, the delivery mistake had finally been identified and they were there to correct it. At first, their explanation sounded reasonable. But the longer they spoke, the more uneasy Ethan became. Neither man carried proper ownership documents. Neither could answer basic questions about the horse. Instead, they repeatedly demanded immediate access. When Ethan refused, they exchanged nervous glances. Then one of them offered money. A lot of money. Far more than any ordinary horse could justify. The amount stunned even the ranch workers standing nearby. Ethan declined without hesitation. The man's friendly expressions vanished. For a brief moment their masks slipped and something colder appeared underneath. Something desperate. They left soon afterward, but not before warning him that keeping the horse would create unnecessary problems. As the SUV disappeared down the road, Ethan knew one thing for certain. Those men were not interested in correcting a shipping mistake. They were hunting something. That evening, Ethan examined every item that had arrived with the stallion. Most appeared ordinary until he inspected the old saddle more closely. One section felt heavier than it should. After several minutes of searching, he discovered a hidden compartment concealed within the leather. Inside lay a collection of yellowed documents, several photographs, and a small flash drive. Ethan carefully lifted the first photograph. It showed Victor Hale standing beside the same black stallion many years earlier. The mystery had just become far bigger. And whatever secret the horse carried was important enough for dangerous people to come looking for it.